Hey, Jason Hodge here, and I'm sitting here, and like the title says, this is a rant of sorts. It's a rant conversation that one of my favorite cousins and I are having. She's fellow chef, a foodie, and we're just talking about just how dedicated and committed you are. That, and I'm including us in the conversation, but we were talking about the things that are done, as a W-4 wage earner, and the things that are done as a self-employed person or a business owner and entrepreneur, and the massive distinction between the two things. And I was remembering when I was working at some telecom companies and some of the other many companies that I worked for over the years, just the type of things that we would have to do inside of that 8+ hour day. And I said, okay, when I was working for the phone company, on the average day, I was making getting anywhere from 1,260 to 1,350 calls, right, that I was handling every single day. Sounds like a lot, but when you get into the system of doing things, it just kind of, moves, right? Well, when I was working at the newspaper, I remember that, and I was part-time working there, I used to make around anywhere from 216 to 250 calls per day. And for anybody who works like a telemarketing job or whatever, that's a lot of calls. Even for a part-time basis, it's an incredible amount of calls to interact with that many people every single day. Lots, right? And I was looking at it from this standpoint, and feel free to chime in at any point, Tracy. I think that they can hear you. I've got her on speakerphone right now. But I was looking at, and we were kind of going back and forth between the things that are actually done as income producing activities as an entrepreneur, and the things that we kind of say we're doing but aren't really knocking it out of the park. Right? You know what I mean there? It's like you start things, and you may have in your mindset that, all right, I've got this business going and this, that, and the other, and wow, I'm not really getting many customers, and well, let's see, what are we going to do here? And then you go and you may make a post here online, here and there. You may make a telephone call. It's not really an income producing telephone call. It's just you're calling, and you can say, okay, made a phone call, check. You're checking things off of your list, but they're not really generating the result that you're looking for. And I was thinking, I said, okay, if we were to take ourselves and put ourselves into the equation of, if we employed ourselves with the activity that we are or are not doing on a daily basis, would we fire ourselves at the end of the day? Very good question. You got to be real honest with yourself, when you ask that question. You go ahead, Tracy.
I said true.
Yeah, okay. She said true, in case you didn't hear. And so here it is. As we were sitting there, of course, the conversation provided a lot of laughter because we're looking at what we do just from a culinary standpoint, and what we see other people doing. I'm a media planner, as most of you probably already know of. You know me already, and so I work with nonprofit organizations and all that. And so the thing is that if for some reason, okay, and mind you, I'm in hangout mode, so I'm like down in my office downstairs, and so my kids are just getting up, and so you may see them pop in and out. Say hey.
Hey.
Okay. So did you get your breakfast and stuff? Yeah, go get some almonds and all that, and get your water, man. Okay, you need your water. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here it is. We're sitting there just kind of dissecting the day-to-day activities, right? And when you're honest with yourself, it really is something that could either make you feel really good if you're really knocking it out of the park, you're really doing your thing, or it can make you feel like 2 inches because you really know that you did not put your all into it. And so I said, let's break it down into the scenario. 250 calls a day. Okay, let's look at that from a minimum standpoint. So now in my business, we blog every day, right? And whether it be a video blog, an audio blog, or whatever, we blog every day. Well, you can't blog and then be done there. You've got to blog and then also alert folks that your blog is there, ready to be consumed, whatever that may be. You know, if you're a culinarian and you've got a blog about food and stuff, you should be posting those pictures and descriptions about the food that you just did or what you're thinking about doing, you know, where you want to be, blah, 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 blah. You know, really just kind of dive in there to get the conversation going, especially when you're using the social media platform. Social means that you socialize. And so if you're not doing that, then you're only halfway doing your job. And you probably would, at the end of the day, fire yourself. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that. I was like, would I fire myself? Would I fire myself if I were to look at my day's activities and say, okay, did you knock it out of the park or did you not? So in the midst of this conversation, we're sitting here going back and forth, and I was saying, you know, we just simply are not leveraging our time the best way that we can. And so then I remember I did a training on one of the Hangouts that I, did several months ago with a group of fellow marketers. And so we were talking about one of the methods that I like to use. And I was like, I don't know why I have not employed that in a while. But it's called the radio method. And you are actually experiencing the radio method right now. I'm in the conversation, but I said, you know, there is a way to turn that conversation into an income producing activity. Now, if you notice, there is a link underneath, like if you're on my YouTube, there is a link there. If you're in the descriptions, you'll see a link there that you can click on, and it'll take you over to another conversation, some information about how folks are using their blogging platform, how they're doing what it is that they want to do in order to make the changes, the transformations in their lives. So you can click on that link and you can see that conversation and also have an opportunity to dive in and start your own blog, start your own entrepreneurial endeavors with some training behind you that will allow you to actually systematically put it together so that you can start generating, you know, the life that you want to generate. You know, there are things that you have to do, but I said, why am I not doing this in the midst of this conversation? So I asked her, I said, Teresa, do you mind if I go ahead and start a Hangout real quick and really take advantage of this conversation? And also, it'll help train my team on just certain things that they can do in order to create an income producing activity, even in the midst of a regular conversation, so long as it's relevant. This conversation happens to be relevant because we're talking about what would you do if you were to hire yourself? Would you fire yourself at the end of the day? So Tracy, what has been going through your mind as we've been talking about that?
Fire myself today.
Say it again.
I said, I've seen where I can fire myself at the end of the day.
Okay. Okay, yeah, Tracy said that she can see where she would fire herself at the end of the day. I can see that myself. Sad to say, I've got to take ownership of that as well. I can see where I would fire myself, and probably I probably would hire lefty and thumbs at certain points, you know, to maybe break some kneecaps or something because I'm wasting company money. So here it is. She can see it. I can see it. You probably can see it for yourself. That if you really were to boil it down, and I'm talking to you if you are venturing out into an entrepreneurial endeavor, you are stepping out into your own business, and you are looking at it from the standpoint of how do you develop your business? Well, think about it. If you are working in your business, and that's what a lot of us, we have to reorganize our mindset around our income producing activities. All too often, as quote unquote entrepreneurs, newbie entrepreneurs, we are at the wrong end of that conversation. And by that, I mean this. We get so caught up in the details of our business, and we start working on those details that we don't work on actually growing the business. We don't end up working on marketing that business in a way that is going to get our business in front of people. And so when that happens, what ends up taking place is that, you know, we don't grow our business. And so our business only will go as far as what our detail work can do, which is not going to go far at all, unless we've got a great back end where folks are just doing the whole word of mouth advertising and just spreading our good fortune, our good news out there into our demographic. Okay, so, you know, we can't survive that way. So technically, if you're not doing the things, I was on a call maybe about a month or so ago, and inside the call, the lady who gave the talk, she was talking about how the successful businesses, the successful entrepreneurs that she has as clients, coaching clients and all that, they spend 80 to 90% of their daily activities on, guess what? Marketing their business. They're pushing their business out there in all these different formats in order to get their business in front of their ideal client, their prospective client. And so she says, if you're not doing that, you're going out of the world backwards because your business can't sustain on no customers. So you've got to get out in front of people. The only way you can do that, and right now we have such an incredible vehicle to be able to do that on social media. You know, you tweet your stuff out, post it to Facebook, put it on YouTube, put it on Google Hangouts. You know, I would say put it on MySpace, but I don't think anybody uses that anymore. You know, but you put it out there, put it on your blog. If you don't have a blog, you should have one. You get it out there in a way that it's going to get in front of your people and be able to generate not only goodwill, you're adding value and stuff to their lives, but you also are developing a list of folks who are looking for you, because the beautiful thing is online, people who find you are the people who are searching for you. It's totally different. It's almost like marketing and advertising flipped on its ear. They are looking for you. They go through the search engine saying, okay, whatever your keyword is, you know, if it's a food thing, they may say, okay, chef, personal chef in my town, you know, 123 Missouri, whatever. And so now they find you and they look at your blog or your posts and stuff. They see the succulent food that you have on there. They're like, wow, that looks really good. And now inside of that same post, you have a way for them to contact you. Just like I have that link there for you to click on to go and watch the results that some of the other folks who are in the same organization with me, some team members and organization members, you know, and they're getting their results. Same way. You have that way for them to get in contact with you on your blog, and they get in contact with you. Now you have somebody on your list. That list you begin to develop. You start giving them more value. You start emailing them saying, hey, you know what? If you like this, you might like this over here. Here's a link. Check this out. Let me know what you think about it. So you start the conversation. And in the midst of that conversation, a relationship develops. And that relationship later can turn into really good business, especially when they see, wow, you know, this person is just really on it. They know their industry, or they have the right questions and go to the right people to get the right answers for the same questions that I have in the same industry. I'm going to follow this person. I'm going to buy what they have. You see, so you start developing a way to engage and to grow your community. Now, I was talking to my cousin. I said, you know, the funny thing is this, is that when I started working with, you know, different channels on YouTube, one of my most favorite ones is one of my foodie channels, and it grew to over 55,000 followers in under a year's time. And the reason is because I was constantly adding value, but I did very little work. And that was probably the most counterintuitive, the most lazy marketing thing that I did, probably ever. But it just took off. It was the right mix of everything there. And we were talking about this in relation to, you know, a new chef coming up, just looking at the discouragement that chefs face when they're coming into the marketplace, when they are around maybe some not so nice seasoned chefs, you know, who are a little more gruff with them and, you know, can tend to break their spirit before they develop their own voice. And so I was like, you know, for them, I would say, don't get caught up in, you know, what others think. I don't care how much experience they have. Don't get caught up in that, but instead start stepping out, making their own way, right? Get some clients if that's what you want to do. You know, I found that I didn't like doing that anymore. Not because I don't like cooking for people, but I don't like having to cook for people in order to make a living. I like cooking for people for the love of it. I like to get paid. Don't get me wrong. I like to get paid for it, but it's the different thing when you have to do something because you have to pay your bills, and when you do something because you love it and you happen to get paid for it as well. When you, it's like turning that passion into the profits. Trees, I heard you say something there. Yeah. Okay, and just to let you know, Tracy, oh my gosh. Okay, she does some things with cakes and baked goods that will just literally blow your mind. I mean, like, There's a lot of chefs that I respect and admire and all of that. She is one of them. Okay. I mean, and funny enough, she is one of my go-to people. I mean, she can pull a resource out of thin air. I don't know how she does it to this day, but a lot of my foodie resources, I have to thank her for it because she's just been on it. I'm like, I've been looking for something like this. Next thing, a link will pop up. And I'm like, how does she do it? Okay. And I'm a researcher. Anyway, okay, so that was a segue. But I wanted to say all of that because, we can so often get discouraged, but the fact of the matter is that if we are truly on our grind, right, truly handling our business, there really isn't enough time to get discouraged because you're doing so much other stuff. Think about it. Okay, 8 hours a day, really 9 hours. And then not to mention how much time it takes you to get up, get ready, get over to your job and stuff, you know what I mean, right? And we were laughing because, we're both West Indian, right? And West Indian, I don't know if you've ever seen that show In Living Color, all right? Now, it wasn't my favorite show, but they had a sketch in there. You remember that, Tracy? The Hey Man? Yeah? Okay. So it was stereotypical, but there was a lot of truth to it, with the amount of jobs and all that. I remember at one time I had 4 jobs, sleeping 2 hours a night. I remember my grandfather had 5 jobs at one time. And I know various relatives who have had several jobs. And so Teresa and I were just laughing about that in the conversation, just talking about, okay, yeah, that's true. Here it is. You work all of this extra hours just to get the next check and the next check, and you're just putting all those checks together. And it's like, okay, so yeah, when you look at it all together, it looks like, oh, that's some good money. But when you then also estimate the fact that, yeah, but you don't have a life. You got 2 hours to sleep, and then you got to get up, get back to the grind, do it all over again. The next day, lay down 2 hours, get back up, do it all again. So before you know it, all of those part-time jobs, the double full-time jobs, the school that you're doing, all of these things that you're doing lumped into one, by the time you're finished, you have no life, no relationship, no money really, because taxes eat you up unless you have a good shelter for it, which would be like a home-based business. Yeah, taxes eat you up. And then before you know it, it's like, man, I worked all that time, I've got nothing to show for it. So what was it all worth? For me, my turning point came when I got bit by a spider and almost died, right? I mean, it was like over a year's worth of time of fighting, all of the infection and stuff that was going on in my system. And I was thinking like, wow, if I die right now, what's going to happen to my family? What are my kids, my boys growing up? What are they going to do? How's my wife how's she going to bury me? I mean, let alone all the other stuff that comes into that, the emotional stuff. And I started thinking, I got to do something different. I've got to learn how to implement the same thing that I've had clients do, leverage their time and take advantage of just putting stuff out there in a way that it stays out there and constantly, consistently drives the right type of traffic back to my offers. If we did that as business owners, really took into consideration, we got to market, we got to learn how to market, we got to know how to get our stuff out there so that we can step above the noise of all of the other people who are advertising for the same space and be unique. I mean, think about it. Think if you had a store, right? And you set up that store to where you had an actual video engagement like I'm doing with you right now. And in that store, the people come to know you, they come to trust you. It's like, oh yeah, that store, they always put something up really good, whether it's a foodie thing or a good trivia, or the store owner just gets on there and just talks about what they're doing for the week or whatever it is, right? You develop a consistent mode of communication for your prospective customers, your community, your client base. And then before you know it, they start telling other people about it. Oh, wow, you got to really check this place out. They've got really great stuff. They've always, I mean, they're just on it. And I don't even know where they came up with that idea. Thank you. You can thank me later. Where they came up with that idea to start their own show based around their store or based around their product. Think about this. You've got a product. I mean, this is totally random, and I'm okay with that because this is a hangout, and this is just, I hit the go button and said, let's go live now. I have no plan for this other than I was thinking about all these things. I said, this information has to get out to the community. It really does. I want people to know about this. and to start thinking about their lives and their business in a totally different way. Because I'm seeing too many families that are breaking up because they're not spending time with each other, building those relationships. They all go their separate ways, you know. Husband and wives are separating, splitting up because they're not spending the time building that relationship. You know, money issues come up because, again, no marketing. So how is money coming in without people even knowing who you are, where you are, coming to know you? You know, there's all of these things that come together that are wrapped up into why I said, you know what, this is going to be a valuable hangout. I don't know how long it's going to go, but I do know that the information, the message, hopefully that I can relate to you in the midst of this conversation will encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone, create something that is unique, push it out there, market it, get it in front of people. Don't worry about how it looks initially. Your community will grow and they will start telling you what they want to see, what they want to hear. I did a training for my team this morning. I was like, okay, I put it out there and said, hey, you know, what do you want to know? You know, what do you want to accomplish in your life? What do you want to accomplish in your business? How do you want to go about it? You know, tell me, give me questions that you want to know. What do you want answers to? If I don't have the answers myself, you know, from the extensive background that I have, I'm sure I can get the answer for you. You know, it doesn't matter. Throw it out there. And so to me, we are at a time right now where technology allows us to be able to reach many people and to help them. I just was on a show, a web TV show with Beelan Hawkins of the Biz Info Zone yesterday, right? And so we talked about just YouTube, how you can use YouTube. And we didn't even barely scratch the surface of it. We're doing a workshop at the end of next month. And in the midst of that conversation, though, what I loved about it is that the conversation organically moved right back around to service. How are you serving your audience? How are you serving your community? Because really that's where it's at. If you have the right type of service, the service that enhances your community's life, that service is what's going to turn into dollars for you. You know, it's just as simple as that. People buy what it is that they want, what they're looking for, you know, and then you pepper in what it is that they need in order to continue to grow that relationship. They know that you have their best interest at heart. And so it just continues to blossom from there, and they start referring other people to you. I mean, it's just a beautiful thing. So all of that, here it is. We're doing this thing live just to produce some content to show you that even in the midst of your conversations, you can create something that is memorable, is beneficial. I'm gonna take this video, reappropriate it in a number of ways. If you wanna see how I do that, go ahead, connect with me. You know, you can pop on over to my blog actually and see some of the other things. We're building it right now. It's blog.jasonandgrace.com, or you can go to jasonandgrace.com. That'll also take you to our blog. And then you can kind of see how the things are right now. And then over the next coming days and weeks, what we're going to be doing with it. Actually, my wife and I have got some really exciting things, because we were sitting there thinking, what are we going to do for our blog? You know, she's in the medical profession, you know, I'm in the media planning field. And I'm like, okay, but what do we do that kind of combines what it is that we both are about? You know, also being a chef, it's like, okay, how do we have something that is uniquely us without it being so scattered, but while at the same time speaking to all the different aspects of us? So we decided to go ahead and create one that is jasonandgrace.com, and then just talk about that, talk about what we're doing, the different types of techniques that we're using, different marketing platforms, different ways to produce our content or to schedule our content. All of those things are going to be on that blog. So you're going to see it like totally bare bones, nuts and bolts. This is how we're doing it from the scratch, building this thing up. And you may want to follow suit, because it may be something that you want to do and just didn't know, hey, how do you do this? How do you make a blog that is about your business so that it benefits your community? We're going to train on all of that. You know, I have an extensive background in media planning and just content creation, curation, and just exposing it in many different formats. So I would encourage you, admonish you, go ahead, connect with us and get involved with it. I mean, yeah, Tracy, What do you have to say? I dominated this conversation. I'm sorry. I know. I just went.
Open your phone to job. You know that you want to
Mm-hmm.
for yourself.
Okay.
Put it all this fucking stuff in your business so that you can run it.
Okay, I'm going to repeat that because I don't know if you heard it. It kind of broke up. But Tracy was saying, you got to know that you want it for yourself. Correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy. You got to know that you want it for yourself, that you can flourish. You got to get your mindset right and know that, yes, it is something that you can do. It's all a choice. It's a decision. Was that on it? I just lost her in the call. Okay, I'm pretty sure that that's what she said, something to that effect, because that's what we were talking about prior to hitting go on this hangout. So yes, if you are of a mind that you want to grow your business, ask yourself a few questions. A, am I doing the same thing that I would be paying somebody to do? Would I keep myself as an employee, or would I fire myself at the end of the day? When I look at my day, did I take the same effort that I would take for the employer that I'm working for? You know, if the answer is no, you got to up your game. If the answer is yes, then you got to look at it, tweak it, and see how is it working out for you. You know, if it's not working out, then you just tweak it. You make some adjustments to it in order to get it to work the way that you want it to work. So yeah, ask yourself that question. Give yourself an honest answer. And if your answer is yes, I would keep myself on as an employee, then great, kudos to you. If the answer is no, which I think probably at least 90% of the folks who are honest with themselves would say, no, I did not really do all that I could do today in order to market my business, in order to get my name out there in front of folks, to let them know, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to go, let's do it. If you didn't do that for your business, if you didn't do that for your client base, then you are half-stepping it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. And you need to up your game and say, okay, I'm ready to do this. If I can spend the time to make 250 outbound calls every day, working for somebody else, I could very well get 250 tweets out to the same group of people, and it's expanded exponentially because my tweet is going to hit thousands and thousands of people. Multiply that by 250 some odd. Okay, if I can intake 1,350 calls per day, same thing applies. Then that means that I have the capacity to handle that type of volume. So what are you willing to stretch yourself into? Even if you stretch yourself up to the same level of activity that you were doing in your W-4 earning job, you know, working for somebody, at least at the very minimum, apply that to what you're doing for yourself. Are you sitting there watching TV all day when there are things that need to be getting done, that should be getting done, that deserve to be getting done in your business? No, not right now. In your business. Are you doing all that you know to do? Are you taking advantage of all of the tools, all of the skills, all of the training that you have gotten? Are you implementing any of that stuff? Or is it sitting on your shelf gathering dust? You know, are you systematically scheduling your time to make sure that at the end of the day, your checklist is handled? You know, a lot of times we tend to give ourselves that leeway, right? Where, okay, we put things on our goals list and all of that, and, you know, we may get to it or we may not. It all depends. If we were working for somebody and they were paying us for those tasks, you better believe you would get them done. It's just as simple as that, or you would be fired. So are you giving yourself those same hard, I don't use deadlines, I like to use lifelines, you know? Are you giving yourself the same hard lifelines to say, these things must get done, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, you know, I must get them done, and that's just it? Or are you saying, well, they could get done, and if they don't, just move them over to the next day, and, you know, you're sugarcoating what actually is happening, and that is that you're not being serious about your business. You know, whichever one it is, be honest with yourself and say, okay, either A, I'm ready to do this, I am ready to step into my entrepreneurialism, or I'm not, and so let me just kind of stay at the W-4, which is not a guarantee, mind you, because at any given moment, You can be downsized and all of that. Not saying, speaking that out there, I'm just giving you the reality of it. A lot of times we place security, a false sense of security, in our W-4 earning jobs. And that false sense of security will get us to be very lax about what we do in order to handle our business. You know, are you getting the prospects in that you should be getting in every day in order to not only manage and grow your business, but to make it flourish? If the answer is no, you need to be doing that. If you don't know how to do it, go ahead and click on the link that you see in the midst of this video, and then pop on over, sign up, get the training that you need. All right, I'm Jason Hodge. I'm out from the Hangout right now. Thank you for joining me. Catch you later.